Answer to no, man, I still go, 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 yeah, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
All right, what's up, fellas? Happy Friday. We're out here in the streets, man. We got an awesome 4-game WNBA slate that me and my boy Eric are gonna chop up today. Love it when we get these larger WNBA slates because it seems like at times we don't get them that often, so we got to get it while we can. What's up, Eric? How you doing, man?
What's going on, man? Doing well. It's Friday, getting ready for our big slate tonight, and we got another one on Sunday. I believe a 6-gamer, right?
Yeah. I think I'm pretty spread out on time too, starting pretty early, I think. So ideally, we would get those props maybe earlier on Saturday evening or Saturday night to really start digesting them because I assume there's gonna be a lot of players on the board that we might not be accustomed to playing, and maybe they open up some more bench players. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot to sift through. Catching up on news, I didn't mean when we started the music to cut you off there. We were discussing some of the key news, and we could probably start with that. What were you saying before the intro started?
Yeah, so today for Seattle, we're going to have Mercedes Russell back. She's one of their key starters that hasn't been with the team or hasn't played with the team so far this season. So she'll be making her season debut, and it is a home game tonight. Um, she was doing really well this last year, played high 20s and ended up going into the high 30s in minutes. So could be a really prolific player for us. Not a lot of data to go off so far this year, but willing to take some shots there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I guess I'm not seeing anything else standing out. I think we can touch on some possible lineups, starting lineups and rotations when we go game by game. But yeah, I think that was probably the biggest key news of the slate. And we'll just keep an eye on the news as we go forward. We have a couple hours to break this down. And keep in mind that we're starting this really early, and there's pros and cons to that. So we've been doing these streams pretty much like an hour before lock, and it's been hard to rush, cards in and build a list afterwards. But we're gonna have way more time after this to sit on kind of our thoughts and ideas here. But a con is gonna be that we don't get those key bench players, and I think those key bench players that drop maybe an hour before lock, they've been pretty fruitful for WNBA. It seems like, and if you could find an edge with those, I mean, because they usually open them at really low lines. It seems like PrizePicks kind of fails to adjust appropriately for those bench players. So definitely don't disregard them. Just don't go off of like only the players we go on this stream because, like I said, we were not going to have those players. So definitely keep an eye out for those.
Yeah, for sure. And we've also been gaining new props, like stuff that we haven't had to play with at all over the last 2 games. And we got for the NBA, what was it? Points and assists, points, rebounds, like all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're gonna get that today. And that's more work on our end, but that's more opportunity to really attack the unknown that PrizePicks hasn't figured out yet.
Yeah.
And opportunity for that is definitely going to be there. We're going to break that down when we get it.
For sure. For sure. Okay, so yeah, before we start with game one, I guess we'll just catch up with chat. I assume people are gonna slowly roll in since we're starting so early today. We got our usual boy Skimmer out there. What's up, Skimmer? X, what time is it out there for you, X? Isn't it like 3 a.m. or something like that? I believe he's in South Africa. I'm glad you're here, man. Hey, what up, Corey and Jatoa? Let's get it. Got off work early today. Nice, man. Perfect timing. And underrated. Let's go. Hit the like. Yeah, appreciate that. Corey said he's waiting on Azura Stevens news. Definitely. I think what was the latest update on her? It was just a non-COVID illness, that late scratch. So yeah, we'll have to see. I assume she comes back and plays, but who knows how bad the illness is. And Jatoa said, "I love some Atkins fantasy today." Yeah, we're definitely gonna go over her. That game, I think that game is. I have it marked as the first half bonanza game where we could just load up on first half props because, man, that spread, that 12-point spread. Vince, what's up, Vince? Man, hey, appreciate you helping out with the spreadsheet here. Vince updated our spreadsheet that we're right now currently hand constructing, which is taking some time. So I think we're going to fine tune these things and get it more automated with APIs and pull data off of the WNBA site. But since they're small slates, it's not too bad to hand build these for now. X said it's only 7 p.m. Okay, that's nice. That's a perfect time. And Skimmer said, "Oh, by the way, he's HJ Ryu." Yeah, I think I knew that. Yeah. All right. Let's start with game one. So this game, I believe, is on an island. I think it's the game that starts first at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then I think the next game doesn't start till like 30 minutes later. It is the one with the highest spread. So I mean, for good reason. I mean, you got Washington, who pretty much is top ranked in every category, third in defensive rating. They run the slowest pace, and they allowed the second least amount of points in the paint and the second least amount of free throw attempts, and they don't turn the ball over really. So they're a pretty well-oiled machine, and they're going against New York, who's kind of the opposite, who's a sloppy team, who fouls a lot and doesn't rebound, and defense is average. Definitely blowout potential here, written all over it, and it's in Washington. I'm really liking the first half props here. The one that stood out to me, and I'll see what you think and see what your targets are, but Natasha Cloud's PRA first half, I marked that last night in my early notes. I really like, the 8.5. I feel like is low for the assist potential she can get in the first half and the scoring. And then the other one would be Donnie's fantasy points, because I think she can rack up stocks here in this game environment where New York gives up the second most turnovers per game. So definitely stock potential there, and she should have an easy time scoring here. Um,
Definitely.
those
Mhm.
are the two that stood out to me. Maybe some Atkins, but yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on what you're gonna do with this game, and if you're gonna target first half, and then maybe go over your strategy with the team's field goal made in the first 6 minutes, because I think there's some opportunity here depending what it opens at.
Yeah, definitely. Still waiting on the 2-point props to drop here.
Hmm.
I do like Washington. For the most part, is I think we'll get the 2 points under 4. If it's under at like 3.5 or 3, I definitely want that. This team's going to be hyper efficient. They're one of the most consistent postseason teams. As Josh mentioned earlier, they're just really well rounded.
Yep.
They don't really turn the ball over much, and they have a great defense. Slowest pace in the league, so they're not going to give any kind of a boost to New York. They're actually number 10. So we're going to get a turtle of a turtle game here.
Yeah. Does that get? I was gonna ask you. Does that raise any concern for the 2-point prop? I want to look at data more for that because I have not dived into that prop much. Is there any strong correlation between the pace of the matchup and the probability of that hitting?
Not necessarily, just
Okay.
because typically within the first 6 minutes, you're going to get maybe one, maybe two players subbed out, if that. But a lot of the teams stick to a pretty tight rotation, and they follow the same basic shot order, or about shot percentage per so many minutes per quarter. That's one thing that I've noticed so far, at least with that, is just the odds and probability. A lot of these teams, no matter if it's a huge pace up, huge pace down, they run their 110% effort in this first quarter stint when in their first rotation. Sometimes, teams can just miss and build a brick house like Indy did the other night. But going back and looking at that, we had 12 attempts and 4 turnovers. So virtually there was about 16 different opportunities within that first 6 minutes to hit that marker. And a lot of these teams, Washington in particular, they're just really hyper efficient about getting the ball and not turning the ball over. So that is going to lead to more opportunity to make those points. Now, one of the biggest things I would say that you have to really break down is for Vegas, for example, you have some of these real heavy or hot heavy three ball shooters. Last night we almost had our Connecticut one blow up, and I was on the edge of my seat
Yeah.
because Bonner was shooting 100% and hit 4 threes almost
Gosh.
in the first 4 minutes. So
Yeah,
there's
she looked
definitely
like Al Horford out there, man.
yeah, yeah. So sometimes there's a bit of a sweat with that if some of these teams
Yeah.
are more geared for one or the other.
And
But
fouls too, right? If they're going against a team that both teams foul at a high rate, that could take away a couple field goal opportunities as well.
yeah,
So
for sure. So there's a little bit more to read into it,
yeah,
but right now it looks like PrizePicks has literally gone back for just the last 5 game data results, and they're not factoring for any injuries, any big news like that at all.
nice.
So a lot of these first half props and the 2 point, 3 point props are just really low right now. And I definitely agree with you on Cloud, her first half PRA, and Donnie's first half fantasy. She's been a wrecking machine.
Yep.
And just to give you guys a little bit of context in that too, um, Cloud actually plays the longest stint for the first rotation, but she's unfortunately the least likely to be the shooter, but more likely to get rebounds. So you get some production in there, but she plays virtually the entire first quarter.
Yep.
And once Donnie and Atkins both sub out, she's actually the ball handler and she will take the shots. So there's a couple of things from this that we really got to keep an eye out on. Huge blowout chance. And I was talking about earlier with Shakira Austin, she is losing minutes, and it seems like her and Burke are kind of getting their minutes cut out between Kimbrough and Williams off the bench. So a big pause for any of the not big three between Donnie, Atkins, and Cloud tonight. I'm not going to have much confidence in that.
Okay. Um. Yeah, I totally with you on Natasha's rotation, and Yeah, I mean the scoring might not necessarily be there, but definitely the peripheral stats. I guess you could consider her fantasy score too. It's at what is it at? It's at 11.5 versus 8.5 for the PRA. But I think the PRA is a little bit more appealing in my opinion.
It's
Just
safer.
yeah, safer, and I think what is she averaging turnover wise? She is averaging 2.5, which is natural for a playmaker, primary ball handler, who's just gonna look to play make. So yeah, probably stick with that. And then besides those first half props, what do you think about something that stood out to me? What do you think about might be a little bit more risky just because of the blowout potential, and she might need the full game run, but Atkins 2.5 rebounds was pretty low and stood out to me in this matchup where New York's probably going to throw up a lot of bricks, and they are very bad at rebounding. They're 11th in rebound percentage, so they give up a ton of rebounds.
Yeah, I think that's definitely live. I have it maybe not as a top tier play, but definitely a higher on the mid tier. She plays deep minutes and is one of the more taller, sizable bodies that they're going to have on the floor in this matchup.
Uh huh.
Um, so I can definitely get behind that. And she's been getting involved a little bit more, trying to shore up some of the offensive putbacks. I've actually noticed whenever they go to shoot the three ball, both the guards clamp down and the center and forward box out. So they have this kind of trap set up that basically if it falls back in their direction, if they got the right spin on it, one of the guards is almost guaranteed to get that rebound back. And we've seen both Atkins and I believe Cloud as well get a few more rebounds in these last couple games. Yeah, Cloud got 4 this last game, and Atkins got, I believe, 4 as well. Yeah, they both got 4.
That makes sense. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, Sabrina's gonna chuck it from three as well on the opposite side. So, um, yeah, definitely potential for both of them to get rack up the rebounds today. But yeah, the blowout risk for those full game props, I would just be really hesitant and think twice about some of those full game props. And then I have marked Elizabeth Williams as the primary bench piece that we might get. So I'm trying to when I build these projected starting lineups, I also try to project what the bench player that PrizePicks will give us, because it seems like what they give us about maybe definitely one bench player, but sometimes two. Um, do you think it's going to be Elizabeth Williams or someone
It's
else?
man, I'm really torn between Williams and what did I say, Mags? Let me go back here real fast. Oh, Walker Kimbrough. So
Yeah.
we had Kimbrough start at the beginning of the season. She started in the first 3 games and she was playing pretty reasonable minutes, 34, 35, and 34. Um, Decent production, low shot volume, reasonable rebounds. Uh, Man, my biggest, I guess I'm on the fence about just where does coach want to go with this?
Hmm.
Um, if I'm not mistaken, we also had Washington's head coach out for a little while with COVID or something, right? I want to say that happened a couple weeks ago. So they had some kind of
It's just like multiple teams like with that scenario, right? I can't keep track of it. I think wasn't Seattle the same way? The coach and the
yeah,
players.
Seattle was too. I know for sure that Washington, their head coach was out when they played Atlanta,
Okay.
and we just got some really flat rotations.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're just trying to figure out who's going to be the next person up, the next big off the bench, and it's between those two. So I'm curious, maybe if we get a prop, if it's low enough, there's definitely some ceiling that could be hit. If it's going to be blowout, the secondary pieces are going to get extra run.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I was kind of keen in on trying to find who the bench player is going to be, and if so, if they're worth playing because of this blowout potential. All right, so we'll keep an eye on those. We'll see what Price Picks gives us. Yeah, and I guess they have to top it off to back up our rebound game theory. Yeah, New York is second in 3-point attempts, so they're chucking it from three. Like I said, Sabrina will chuck it from three. it's going to be a lot of long rebound potential for Atkins and Cloud there. So something to reinforce that game script. Yeah, and then I guess on to New York. This is a terrible matchup.
This will
Awful,
be short and sweet.
awful matchup. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, I can't think of a worse one for them right now. I mean, they're bottom three in pace, and then they're going against the slowest pace team in Washington and the third best defense. And yeah, I it makes me not really want to click on anything here. Let's see. I mean, did they give us any ridiculously low lines relative to what their production is? I'm not seeing things to stand out.
No, honestly, maybe Sabrina for the points if she's going to have another outing, but this team is just all over the place. Between Howard and the foul trouble and the turnovers, and then you
Mhm.
have, I think Rebecca Allen is probably one of the lone bright spots of the team. She
Yeah.
seems like her production and a lot of her fatigue from missing a part of the earlier season has kind of really gone. And but man, she's a streaky shooter too. She'll go out and chuck 3 or 4 air balls and then come
Uh,
back in the second half and score 13 points.
yeah, yeah. You know what they remind me of? They remind me of like I always like to make NBA comparisons in case there's viewers out there that don't really watch WNBA like we do. But the team reminds me of kind of like the Mavs where they live and die by the three ball and
Oh, definitely.
very streaky. And Sabrina's kind of like the Luca role where she tries to do it all. In some games she'll distribute, in other games she'll just chuck it and try to get done scoring. So yeah, you know how it goes when you live and die by the three. Real inconsistencies arise. So I also think we just need to mark in our notes that she loves playing against who was it the last game? She had back to back strong outings against what was the last game she played?
For Sabrina?
The Indy. Like
Oh,
that's her favorite team. It seems like she dropped 31 points on them first meeting the season, and then she dropped 23 on them most recently. So mark that in your books. She likes playing Indy.
got it. Yeah, definitely don't know what to expect here tonight though.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna skip, even though we got a fan favorite Shaq Zoo coming off the bench. But yeah, it's a
Yeah,
terrible matchup for her. Like I said, Washington is second in or 11th in points allowed in the paint. So yeah, they don't give up points that much in the paint. But I mean, Shaq Zoo, she can get hot from three. She's surprisingly efficient 3-point shooter. But yeah,
definitely.
so I right now for our team stream notes for this slate, I have or for this matchup, I have Cloud written down for 8.5 PRA first half. Donnie first half 16 fantasy point, and then Atkins more of a mid tier, her rebounding, and then I'm going to add temporarily, and we'll see what it opens up. But the field goal, what do you want to call this? Just field goal made 6 minute.
Yeah, keep it
Something like
short.
that. If it's at what less than 4, so 3.5.
Yeah, less than 4, definitely.
So any others that I missed? I think that's it, right? That we like.
So the only, I guess, honorable mention that I might have for New York would be for Stephanie Dolson. Um, I was
Oh man.
man, I was low key really high on her last time, and she destroyed for me. Um, so last time her first half points were just at 3,
Uh huh.
and typically her first two out of 4 shots that she attempts are actually 3 pointers. So right off the bat, I know last game her prop was right at 3. 30 seconds into the game, bangs a 3 right there, and I don't like her for any of her peripheral stats, to be honest. But so far they've kept her full game prop at, it was only 6 this last time, and she scored like 12 or 13 points. So if we get it something under, I would say maybe 8, maybe 7.5. Under that, that could be a sneaky good play again today.
So I'll put a little like approximate symbol here, so it's not. We remember that's not the current prop since we don't have it, and that's what you are looking for as a potential target.
Yeah,
Okay. Um. Yeah, that sounds good. But I definitely like these first two and possibly whatever this opens up as probably core plays today.
oh, definitely. Donnie for sure. She should
Yeah,
just be a wrecking crew against these guys.
yeah, I like it a lot. All right, we can move to the next game. I think it starts 30 minutes after that one. But before we do, let's see what chat has to say about anything. Um, Corey said, "Love those two. Locked in one card just in case. Feel like Cloud's PRA is way too low." So yeah, Corey's right there with us on. I assume he's talking about those two being Sabrina or not Sabrina, but Cloud's 8.5 PRA and Donnie's 16 fantasy point. And Corey asked, "What is Cloud and Donnie's run like in the first half?" So yeah, we went over that. I showed the chart here for the most recent game. Um, yeah, like Eric said, I mean, Cloud's playing majority of the first quarter and a large chunk in the second quarter. And then Donnie's taking these little midway segment breaks in the first and the second. Um, Vince said, "Loving the flow of the show right now." Hey, appreciate it, Vince, man. I feel like our juices are flowing better on a Friday. Better vibes.
Definitely good vibes.
Uh, First half, Corey said, "First half looks amazing." Yeah, for sure. And I think there's probably a strong correlation to if you decide to do the field goals made in the first 6 minutes and you pair that with first half props for Washington, because yeah, I mean, especially for Donnie, who's probably going to account for those a large portion of those field goals made in the first 6 minutes. So it makes sense to pair those together on the same card, because if
Definitely.
one's going to hit, I feel like both will hit then. All right, so let's move on. Let's get to this game. I think is going to be a good basketball game between really two solid teams. But in terms of prop betting, I feel like there's a lot of unknowns surrounding it. Um, and it might get tricky, but I mean, it has a pretty healthy implied total at 157. I mean, not nothing spectacular, but it's close to that usual 160 mark. But yeah, we have Chicago, who's pretty well balanced across the board on all their ratings. A little above and below average on some ratings, but no major hole or weakness for them. And then Atlanta, we've gone over before. They're stout defense, best defense in the league, especially transition defense. They don't give up a lot of fast break points. They're first in the least amount of points allowed in the paint, so they don't give it up in the inside, and they are very efficient at rebounding. They're second in rebound percentage, and they run the third fastest pace, so that's really nice game environment. And they are actually surprisingly first in turnovers per game so far this season. So they are turning it over at a high rate, and maybe that could be linked to the fast pace that they run too, and try to push the envelope. So yeah, there's some key targets here we could get at possibly. Nothing stood to me right away last night because we actually didn't have any of these props for either team last night when I was making my notes. But we can kind of go through here what we have available. So it looks like they have Candace at okay. They dropped Candace's assist down to 3. That's usually been at what, like 3.5 or 4.
Yeah,
Um,
flirting around that.
yeah, and I mean her season average is 4.5. I think I think a lot of people got burned by her assist prop last game for Chicago. She decided to just eat on the glass and not pass. And then she had that weird minute rotation at the end of the game, right? So I think we should touch on that because that's kind of important if you're considering props for Chicago and especially for Candace.
Yeah, she had a very flat performance. Only 5 points, what, 3 assists, and she's been really working the glass, but we're not seeing the same scoring efficiency out of her, and that's been really a big reason why Chicago's keeping these games a lot closer than they should be. I believe she also got into a little bit of foul trouble
Yeah, she
too, as
did. She had
well.
4 fouls, but this is what I'm talking about. I remember watching the game and seeing her check out. It was a close game all the way, which was surprising. I mean, they're going against Phoenix, but it was a close game to the end pretty much, and she checked out right here at the 6-minute mark of the fourth, halfway through the fourth, and then basically didn't return. I mean, she came back with 50 seconds left. Most games that when it's close, she's gonna play the entire fourth quarter. I what happened there?
Honestly, no idea because she subbed out for what, either Emma or
It looks like Ruthie.
ugh,
Yeah.
eh, I have no idea. She must have said something to coach and pissed
Yeah,
him
yeah.
off.
It's something, right? Like, I mean, as long as it's not injury related or something like that, um, that's what I just kinda wanna clear the, airways with and make sure there's nothing funky out there with her. Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me. Um, yeah, yeah, I mean, it's appealing. The 3 assists is definitely appealing. I guess the only holdback and concern is that they are going against Atlanta, who's best defense, and so there could be less, assist potential there for her role players making their shots, but yeah, I mean, if it may let's say if she's struggling to score against Atlanta's defense, if she goes into playmaking, more so, then that would make sense. But I think Copper getting back into the mix and, starting to really get back to form and gel with the offense again, I think that could take a toll on Candace's playmaking. I mean, Copper has just been really involved in everything in the offense now. Her assists are going up, and I mean, her assist prop was opening at 1.5 for like the last few games, and I've been jumping on that. Now, I mean, PrizePicks caught on and adjusted, and now they open her at 2.5, which is not comfortable click, especially against Atlanta. But yeah, I mean, she's filling the stat line. She's being productive and scoring too. But I mean, I feel like Price has adjusted all her lines appropriately to her recent production. So especially against this pretty stout Atlanta defense. And then I guess the other one would be Vandersloot. What are your thoughts on her? She's always a core target for fantasy points because yeah, she gets it done fantasy wise.
Yeah, definitely. And just to kind of add a little note for Parker,
Yeah,
keep in mind, guys, she was drafted in 2008. So she's been 14 years seasoned with the league here. This is not a player that they're trying to, in the first early months of the season, trying to push her to her max potential. Um, Chicago's got a really solid looking team this year. They're kind of middle of the road in stats and keeping a lot of games closer than they should be, but they're not really trying to push Parker as much right now and develop some of these secondary pieces. A couple of these ladies coming back from injuries, so some of this stuff that is going to get worked out. And I definitely agree with Copper. Her coming back has had an immediate impact on the starters, and really just some of the game flow that we've seen. Um, I like Parker. I think she'll have a solid outing, but I don't know if I fully trust the assists yet because we could get the
yeah.
the flip side and she goes ham and
I'm with you. I'm with
yeah.
you.
So a little hesitation there, but as far as who'd you ask about? Not Parker. What was the other one?
Vandersloot.
Yeah, Vandersloot. She's a little streaky on the actual shooting portion, but
Yeah,
she does a lot for the
yeah,
team.
yeah.
She's been This last game, she obviously burned us on the rebound prop, but outside of that, she's been hitting
Yeah,
that and doing a
that
lot.
was an anomaly. I feel like that was just a weird game overall, and how much Candace soaked up the rebounds.
Yeah, for sure. So honestly, I think that was just one time. And we got these guys back at home tonight, so we should have a good bounce back performance.
Yeah, I was kind of just curious about her fantasy because with Atlanta being first in turnovers and they just they turn the ball over such a high rate. Um, maybe that would be a even more boost for her fantasy points because she's averaging 2.2 block plus steal in this season. So maybe we could even look out for if we get a block steal prop for her. And same goes for Emma and Candace too. We could look out for their stock props because yeah, I think there's a lot of steal potential here against Atlanta. They're going to run a fast pace and more opportunities for turnovers and yeah, just more turnover prone in general. That's kind of where I was thinking with that. But yeah, I mean, nothing really stood up to me for Chicago. But I mean, it's a healthy game environment with this only 3-point spread. I think it's the smallest spread on the slate. So it definitely has the lowest risk of blowout.
Yeah, this will be one of my, I think, more confident games to target tonight to keep close and get 4 quarters of action.
Yeah, so we gotta really see. I mean, I guess we gotta wait for the other props to drop, but yeah, we're gonna have to really break this one down because I agree with you, and I think we're gonna want key pieces here. I just right now, at first glance, it's kind of hard to say. Did you have any early leans on Chicago before we went to Atlanta?
Um, Really just on Copper from early looks. Copper, I did like her rebounding at 4.5. We know Atlanta has been really stout on the centers as far as boxing them out. So game theory here, I feel like Parker is going to see a less rebounding opportunity, more probably scoring maybe assist, but probably just in the raw scoring. But we could
Yeah.
have Copper here facilitating those extra rebounds, and her season average is already almost 4.5, anyways. So that's right there in line with the prop.
Yeah. Yeah. She's at 4.8 now. But I mean, still a small sample size for her, so there's definitely room to increase that. Because I think it's only been what 3 or 4 games for her so far.
Yeah, at full strength.
Yeah, full strength. So yeah, I can get behind that. I think with that same kind of game theory, I think we could go right back to Vandersloot's rebound and have a short term goldfish memory in the prop betting world because yeah, I mean that was just a weird anomaly for her because she normally, like you said, she does it all and will fill the stat line. Normally gets it done on the glass. So
Yeah, that was very uncanny to see her like quite literally standing off to the side, not doing anything.
what a weird it was a weird game for Chicago, which makes sense because yeah, Phoenix I think definitely covered the spread and kept that game close unexpectedly. So
Yeah, they were
um
getting blown out.
the what?
Phoenix was getting blown out, and Chicago just had, I think it was either the end of the second or a stint in the third where they just did not score, and Phoenix started hitting some threes.
Yeah, and yeah, they only won what by 3 points.
Yeah, barely. Phoenix, I believe, missed a three at the end to close or for overtime.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I mean bounce back spot here for Chicago. So we'll see. But yeah, it is in Atlanta. So yeah, but we can just go right to Atlanta then. I think yeah, I mean Chrissy Wallace has been really solid for us. So we were on her last game and she got done for us for fantasy. And her scoring, I mean, she's shooting really well from three. Very involved with the offense. I noticed they set up plays for her. And with a lot of off ball action where they'll set an off ball screen to get her open at the top of the 3-point line. They like doing that a lot, and yeah, she's been racking up some stocks as well. But yeah, I think besides that, I mean, it seems like she's more focused on offense than anything, and scoring. So I wanna see what her point prop opens at, because that would be something I would, consider if it's really low again, which I doubt, because it was the last game. I think it was what, 7.5 points, something crazy low, because PrizePicks hadn't adjusted for her yet. I assume it goes up to what, 9, probably 9.5.
Yeah, I'm taking a look here real quick. So we had her full game fantasy last time. The prop was at 17 even,
Yep.
and let's see, her PRA was only at 11.5. That was a free square.
Yeah, and her points was it 7.5 or 8.5? Do we have that data? I think I have that data.
I want to say 7.5 because I took her second half props and it was at 4.
Yeah, it was 7.5. Yep, I got it all right here.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. She was a sweat at the start. I think she had -1 points, but definitely got it going.
Yeah, she got hot from 3. I think she made like 3 threes or something like that. Man, I I really hope they only bump her points up to, if they bump her points only by 1 to like 8.5, I can definitely consider that. But I guess her PRA, let's just see what it opens at. If her PRA is around 12.5 again, get behind that. And
Yeah.
then
So
so
it looks like we're maybe 15 minutes ahead of where PrizePicks is at, because literally the second we stopped talking about game 1, they dropped all the rest of their props.
for who? For game 1?
Yeah, like right after we moved on.
Oh, because we got Burke.
Yeah, we got Dangerfield finally.
She was really efficient last game.
Yeah, so it looks like just Burke for Washington, but we got a couple new ones. We got the rest of actually New York.
Yeah. Oh, Dilson, she opened at 7.5 like you wanted. So
Yeah.
okay.
So some interesting pieces. Still going to be a mid to low level of confidence on anybody from this side.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you one thing. uh, Look out for turnover props for Sabrina and Natasha. Both of them, man, are turnover machines. Natasha burned us with her 6 turnovers last game. She would have crushed her fantasy prop. But yeah, that's how she's been. She's a very turnover prone. And what is she averaging now in the season? Has to be well over 3.
Yeah, I think she was almost up to 4.
3.6.
Yeah.
I assume if they give us a prop for that, yeah, it's gonna be 3.5 probably. So we're gonna need 4 turnovers. But yeah, Sabrina, I mean, she's not too far behind. Those are ones I might consider for New York. But turnovers, oh man, especially when you're getting to that 4 range, it's never a fun sweat.
That's a high bar.
Yeah. Okay, so back to Atlanta. Let's see what they opened. Okay, wow. So they dropped. So Ren's PRA is at 20.5, and her fantasy is only 27.
Yeah, she was actually one of my targets for today.
Wow. That's
Definitely her first half props too are ridiculously low.
why did they drop? Let me look at the last Atlanta game. They dropped her props. She was at 21.5 and 28, and so they dropped her props all by 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's maybe versus this matchup, but Atlanta
I mean,
at home is a good team.
Yeah, I mean Chicago. I mean, the championship team, but they're not this year. I would say they're haven't gotten their full legs under them and not true to their normal form. And the defense is nothing to be scared of. So yeah, I mean I really like Ren. Yeah, I mean she's very solid for a rookie. Um, so I guess we can mark her what probably her fantasy since she just gets it done with the stocks, averaging 2.5 on the season.
Yeah, I like the blanket over everything, and she doesn't turn the ball over like you said, so it's pretty safe
Yeah,
there.
yeah, it's another thing I like about her. She is only at 1.1 turnover per game this season, which is really nice. She's just she's gonna be a special player in the league for a long time. I feel like. All right,
And
mark
they
the
they put down her first half props pretty low as well.
huh. Okay, yeah. So you're getting a 2 point fantasy point discount with the first half because it's 25 full game if you double it, but
Hmm.
her prop is at 27 full game.
Yeah. At least from early looks, her first half probably fantasy, but either fantasy or PRA looks way too low because she's same situation as Cloud, plays the longest first quarter stint. It's going to be the primary ball handler, maybe outside of if Wheeler gets hot. Um, but I mean, she just plays so many minutes, and outside of her, who else is going to be shooting?
No, right. I agree.
And Wheeler has looked spectacular. Aside from the turnovers,
Yeah,
she's been getting a few of those, but man, she's balling out there.
yeah. We shouted out last stream when they played and considered her because thought the point prop was too low at 10.5, and now they bumped it up to 11.5. No, yeah, she's definitely looking good out there. And for the old vet, right? She's been around for a while.
Yeah, and they bumped her first half props down too, so another big green light for me today. I believe her fantasy or PRA was at 10. Yeah, 10 and a half.
Yeah, it's a good call out. Um, it's interesting that it seems like maybe it's just like being an older vet, like just gonna be more fresh in the first half and thrive, and then Ren kind of takes over in the second half, maybe because it seems like Ren starts off kind of slow, and I noticed that watching the games live, and then gets hot later on because you see a lot of these games. She went well under the 12.5. I assume because
You got
it's
Natasha. It's the other Howard.
oh, you're right, you're right. Okay. That makes sense now. I was like, wait, why is you cut hers and have 12.5 does not make that up. Okay. Oh man. If we had to pick one, because I wouldn't play both in this card because they could both clear, but just I feel like the odds of, them eating into each other is pretty high. Which one would you lean with?
For Rin,
For between the first half fantasy, between Ren and Wheeler. I guess you could play Ren's full game fantasy and then play Wheeler's first half.
yeah, probably Wheeler over Rin, but um, honestly, they both look really good. I like the fantasy score. Just both of them have stock upside, and um, Rin, we talked about she doesn't turn the ball over. Wheeler, there's some chance of that, but her usage and production rate is just by far outweighing that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, I like those. I think those are pretty solid. And then let me add whatever they open her points at. And do you like any you had a great call the other day with Billings. You mentioned because they dropped her prop, I want to say 30 minutes before lock, and you were really keen on her PRA, and she crushed it, like absolutely crushed that PRA. I think it was stupid low at like what 10 and a half or something like that, 11 and a half,
Yeah, it's 10 or 11, something
and
under 12.
she just destroyed it. Um, yeah, I think what go right back to it. Is there any concern that minute concerns for her, or should we expect it's probably the same rotation?
No, just to kind of sprinkle in a little narrative Friday though.
Yeah.
Miss Parker home revenge game versus Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she played for them 2 years ago for several seasons. So we could see a little extra run here for Parker. She's been getting into foul trouble, first half foul trouble specifically. So she's losing out on some of her first half run, but picking it up in the second half. The biggest problem with that, though, is some of these games have gotten really lopsided, and she's actually losing out on her final fourth quarter run. So she's missing about an extra 4.5 to 6 minutes. So that huge positive. She's going to be handsy, but a very productive player, big stock upside. I like her stocks if they're going to be at 2 and under. They'll probably put it at 2.5 because I want to say that it was at 2 last game. I know that for sure.
So I guess if you're building a card and you had to choose between the two, because I don't know, would it make sense? Would it make sense to play both on the same card because of definitely negatively correlated in terms of minutes and rotation and then productivity? Are you going to lean Parker over Billings?
Um, I like Billings for the full game because I think they're going to condition her. She's got to work back into the rotation, so her minutes at a minimum should be pretty solidified. But I love Wheeler's first half prop. I think first half is just when she gets to shine, and she just
Yeah,
does so much for the unit.
but what about Parker? You were saying you like Parker's full game fantasy, right?
Yes, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I was just thinking like, if you're building one card, would it make sense or be okay to have Billings PRA and Parker's full game fantasy? Because I assume, like, if one of them's doing well, it's gonna hurt the minutes of the other.
Was she a direct backup for Parker?
Yes.
Yeah, she was. Okay. Um, no, I wouldn't play them together, honestly. I like Parker just on she is a productive player, and we've seen some of her more recent production just be subpar because of the first half foul trouble. Um, it's kind of a on the fence play, nothing with great confidence for Parker, but she would definitely be she's going to be someone that's going to be involved in the offense and defensive side.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, they opened her up at 20 and a half fantasy points, and she's averaging 24 and a half. So pretty large gap there.
I wouldn't play. I would not play Parker and Billings together. No.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking, and yeah, I might just have exposure to one of the other in separate cards, but yeah, Parker's been tricky to figure out and target because, like you said, with this early foul trouble she's been getting in, the upside's definitely there, like you said. Anybody else that we might have missed?
Um, no, not really right now. Just the 2 points made in 6 minutes. If we get
Hmm.
that under 4 again, that would be a good target. Because Atlanta actually cleared. I want to say they hit 5 last time in like 3 minutes. Something just crazy like that.
Yeah, that pace they run for sure. Um,
Hit
okay,
6. Okay. Should be a good game though.
it should be. I agree. Um, all right, I think we can move on to the next game. Before we do, let's see what chat has to say about this game.
Mm,
We catch
Spam
up.
bots.
We got bots.
Yeah.
Oh, it wouldn't be an awesome Friday without him, man. Love it. All right, let's see. Sean Drake said, "Is Mama Liz playing today?" No, that is just a stock graphic overlay we have right now for our WNBA show. You know, just going with some of our favorite prop players and popular faces. Steph at 7.5 full game points. Jatoya said, "Is he talking about?"
It's a late game. We're getting to it.
Okay. Vince said they're dropping role players. Corey said he feels like Candace's rebound is the safest for her. Both teams are bottom 2 in the league in field goal percentage. Okay.
But Atlanta is number 1 versus the center position. Just kind
And,
of throwing that out there.
and they're second in rebound percentage too.
Yeah.
Corey said still in love with Ren's 2 assist. Yeah, I mean it's right there on the edge. I feel like I just feel like the fantasy potential is so high for her. And they still have her less than 30 fantasy points. I think, in my opinion, they should have her line at 29.5 or 30. I mean, the way she's playing, and she's averaging 32.2 fantasy points on the season. So I think 27, you're getting like a 5.2 differential there from her average season production. I'm probably just gonna stick with that, but I get it. It's a low line with the 2 assists. So if you want a smaller line to sweat. Toa said I like Candace rebounds too, and he likes Courtney's fantasy. Okay. And Corey said Courtney's first half props were standing out to me over full game. We're getting to that game next. I assume you're talking about Courtney Williams.
Or Vandersloot.
Oh yeah, which one are they talking about? Because I love Courtney's first half props again today. I was all over yesterday, and this is a even better spot for her.
I don't know. Type it out in the chat and just let us know which one you're talking about. Williams? Okay, yeah.
I'm just reading stuff about the bots.
Yeah, I think Courtney Williams, her first half stuff. You actually sold me on that yesterday.
Yeah, just watching her recently and how aggressive she's been early on. It kind of reminds me of the early part of the season when Tyler Heroes missed her second quarter and just dominating that role. She's really thriving, especially later in the first quarter. She starts to take over shooting. Yeah, I have that marked as a key target. So yeah, we're gonna go over that in a minute. Paul Whitlock said he likes Parker's real points. Okay, what did they open that at? They had that at 8.5.
Yeah.
It's pretty low. It's pretty low for season average, but yeah.
She can stay on the floor.
Yeah.
She's been missing a lot of 3-point attempts, and those have really made her scoring look bad. A lot of her first half attempts, I've just been noticing for the breakdown. She'll lead with the open 3 if there's an opportunity for it. She will take that 3 every time, whether it's good or bad. But it seems like really after the first quarter, when she sits down from her rotation, is when she comes back in and settles down and takes reasonable shots and not just these like crazy Steph Curry wannabes.
Is that common for her? I haven't really been paying attention to her first half rotation. Is that common for her to only play these limited minutes in the latter portion of the second quarter? Because if so, I want to maybe consider under on her first half props.
I mean, some of them, I know that
Okay,
submitted
no,
that
yeah,
one. She got into foul trouble again. She's been averaging 2 fouls in the first half and sometimes picking up a third. So that's really shot her down.
yeah, eh, something to think about. All right. I think we can go on to the next one here. Yeah, let's just dive right into Connecticut, like we were talking about, um, uh, and go straight to Courtney Williams. I think her and Heidemann are really building a solid guard duo, um, tandem where they're just feeding off each other and setting plays up for each other. Courtney tends to find Heidemann when she's cutting and gets easy layups, or when Heidemann's in the corner for a three. Reminds me, if you want an NBA comparison, it kind of reminds me of like a Chris Paul, Devin Booker kind of duo, with Courtney kind of being the CP3 and Heidemann. I feel like the 3-point shooter, like in Booker and in the mid range game, but Courtney can still get it done with her mid range game, and she's been really efficient with that mid range. I mean, taking those little elbow jumpers. She's hitting them at a high rate, and I feel like she's taken majority of her shots in the first half. So I hope that sustains. If you're worried about her not getting to her shots, we could consider a PRA because she crushes that in the first half as well. Because, like I said, she's going to rack up the rebounds and assists too. She's, I think, on the season and traditionally last season the best rebounding guard in the WNBA. So something to think about. And were you gonna add anything else about that?
Well, I was actually going to say, of course, the second we finished, they posted all the rest of the role fillers for last game. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah,
It's
so they're
like,
right behind us, huh?
yeah. But we did get Christy Wallace, McDonald, and Billings as well. So a couple of French plays. But going back to Williams here, yeah, I definitely agree. I know that when you were first coming into really the process of your MBA, you were high on her when she wasn't performing, and I was just like, I feel like it's there, but we're not seeing it yet. And then after um, that starting injury, was it to Thompson or Johnson, for Connecticut? Now
Yeah.
we've seen Williams really step into that role, and between her and Heidemann, just going back and looking at last game's play-by-play, in just the first, I want to say 5 minutes in that rotation between the two of them, they had almost 10 shots apiece. So they're really running that front unit, and we've seen Alyssa Thompson really take a back seat and not be the number one and number two scoring person on the team. She fills in when she needs to, but now we're
Yeah.
seeing her work the glass, get some
Mhm.
stocks, doing a little bit of everything here for us,
Mhm.
and it's really freed up some of these low guard props to have a ceiling game for us and clear it way over.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that analysis on the overall offense and roles of each player. Alyssa, like, yeah, she's like you said, she's the aggressor and gets a lot of the hustle plays and has to get her own bucket at times, because of how much Courtney and Heidemann are, and Bonner too. I think all three of them are kind of eating up a lot of the volume, and yeah, Alyssa's having to get like offensive rebound putbacks or steals and then fast break points. So yeah, Alyssa still gets it done. So it's a great matchup for her against Phoenix. Um, Yeah, I'm gonna want access to a lot of the Suns today, but they aren't a back to back.
They are, and I believe the third game this week already.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I feel like they played every slate we've gone over. So, yeah, it's a lot of games. Um, but I mean, Heidemann's young, and Alyssa um, is young. I mean, she's a rookie, right?
Alyssa,
Yeah, or second year,
she's been in for a couple of seasons, 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Wait, hold on. Alyssa Thompson?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Thomas.
yeah, she got drafted in 2014. She's been
Okay.
around for a little bit.
I
Yeah.
was I was sorry. I was thinking of Nalissa. Yeah. She's a
Yeah.
rookie. Um. Yeah. I don't know. There is some concern, but I mean, again, going back to just going with the first half props, even more so if we're worried about maybe some of these players not playing their full potential minutes, with all the games played and being back to back, and the blowout risk. I mean, it is a 6 point spread, and it's Phoenix, so always the potential for blowout there. But yeah, I mean, Phoenix is bottom three in defensive rating. They're last in rebound percentage, which makes me really like Lissa's rebounds. Going back to what you said, it did get juiced appropriately. It was 6.5 recently, and now it's up to 7.5. But she's averaging 8.4 in the season. So it's a pretty nice gap there from her usual production. How do you feel about her rebound upside here?
Yeah, she's had a lot of success, especially in the last 2, 3 games, with working the glass and being able to help a lot of these defensive stops. And we've seen her take a hit for her just raw points, but I do like the fact that she's actually getting involved in a variety of things and not just keeping it so close. But I definitely agree. Just going back and looking at some of the previous matchups between Phoenix and Connecticut here, um, Thompson has had some just sky high performances. I mean, 17 rebounds, 9 rebounds, a lot of double digit rebounds, specifically in this matchup. Um, Connecticut plays a huge front court, and we know that Phoenix is a 3 ball team. So as long as they're working that triangle defense to try and rotate and kick the center either away from that side, one of the two bigs is going to catch those. So I like Alyssa. She seems like she's back to really running the offense here and playing a lot more on the defense side.
So if you had to take a lean and you had to choose one for, would it be her fantasy points because of all the work that she does, like you said, and filling stat line, or would you go with her rebound?
I was pretty high on her PRA actually.
Okay.
Just because she does it all. You don't run the risk of she was one of the league leaders in turnovers, so can't forget that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the small,
3.1.
yeah. So there's some small risks that you could get, a loss here or there from that, but she does so much, and unless this game gets lopsided and we don't get fourth quarter play, she should still continue to clear her props.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, she's just been racking up the stocks, which has really saved her fantasy points and really juiced her season average. Yeah, but I mean, there's that turnover propensity that could be sitting in the wing that could burn you. So I agree with you on that. All right, so I'll mark down her PRA. And then for Heidemann, do we want the first half props for her or even full game points? She's been just chucking it from three. I feel like she's been besides Bonner, like the primary 3-point shooter on the team. So
Definitely.
they've been having her 3-point prop, I think at like 2, might be up to 2.5 now. She How did she shoot last game? I think she did pretty
No.
well.
Oh, they didn't give us a first half points prop for her. Oh man,
Interesting.
it was at 3.5 last time. That was a free square.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, she's playing so many minutes here in the first half.
We didn't
Looks
even
like
get a first half prop for her. Oh, that's lame.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's taken like 4 to 6 threes a game. So if we don't get the first half prop for her, I would say that you could consider. She's not even on the board, right?
Yeah, they didn't give us anything.
Um, hopefully there's like no news surrounding her. It's kind of odd that they would keep her out because she's usually first on the board with Courtney when the Suns props go up. Let's see. I think last game she opened at. I think I have. Did I have the notes still from that game? Yes.
Else for Heidemann?
Yeah, she was at 8.5 points last game, 14.5 PRA, 19 fantasy points.
Yeah, and her first half was 4 points and 13.5 PRA. Or no,
Okay.
that was her full game actually, 13.5.
Yeah. I would just probably consider her first half because I do notice that she tends to not play a lot of minutes in the fourth quarter for whatever reason. Like, yeah, I mean, I would maybe just consider that first half points for Heidemann. So I'm just gonna mark that, and then you could do first half PRA or points for Courtney. I don't know if you have a stronger lean on one or the other, but I think both are in play. I mean, they are juiced now from last time or last game, but
Let me take a look at something. I want to say for fantasy. Just ringing something up real quick. Yeah, probably the fantasy. She's been scooping up a stock, an
yeah,
extra stock, since actually having the starting role again with the unit.
yeah, her
So,
defense has been solid for sure. That's a good point.
but the biggest thing I would say is probably just her assist rating has been skyrocketing, and outside of obviously points and stocks, it's the highest scoring thing that we can kind of mold together here. So if she gets, 6, 7, maybe 6 points, 3 assists, and a stock or a rebound in here and there, it's gonna be easy to clear that, and plays a huge stint in the first opening quarter. So it feels like still a safe prop. Honestly, for the minutes and production, this should probably be closer to high teens, if not almost even 20.
Yeah, and you were talking about Hyman, not Courtney, right?
So I'm just going to assume, kind of hitting on the point that you made about her fourth quarter lack of run, that we actually might not get Heidemann first half props today.
Oh, okay. All right. So you were just talking about Courtney. Okay, let's go with her fantasy then. Because I mean they did juice her PRA quite a bit. She was at 9.5 yesterday, and then now she's at 11.5. What is her fantasy at?
It's at 13.5.
Okay, let's just feel better about that with the stock upside, like you said. I still think you could go with her points in one card as well. But I'm with you on that. We can just rank her fantasy first half as 1, and then secondary would be her real points. And then I got Alyssa's 25.5 PRA, and then Heidemann will watch out for her first half, but I get it. And then
If there's a good cushion between Heidemann, if we do get Heidemann props, if there's at least like a 2.5 cushion between her and Courtney, then I would definitely be with you to choose the latter.
yeah. And what do we feel about Jones? She's kind of like Parker, where foul trouble is always a risk, but she had a really good game yesterday. She could keep up that streak and looked like she was building some confidence last night. and was playing really well. I think rebound stood out to me right away for her because of this matchup with Phoenix being last in, in rebound percentage. But Phoenix does take a lot of threes, and that could lead to longer rebounds away from Jones and going to more Courtney and Heidemann and Bonner. So what's your lean on Jones? Do you want exposure, or is it too risky with her foul potential, especially if you're loading up on first half in this game? She could get into early foul trouble and miss out on some key minutes. What do you think?
A little minimal confidence on the first half props for her. I do like that PrizePicks finally put a picture up for her, and she has a pretty
Yeah.
stellar performance.
Yeah. I mean, she's playing huge minutes in the first half. It's just like she just can't get. She's got to stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah. Do you want, I guess, more for the first half props or full game stuff?
Well, if I was gonna go full game, I was thinking about her rebound.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. We know that Phoenix, like you said, is going to chuck the three. They have so many bodies. That's the only thing that I hate trying to narrow that down. It seems like everybody just gets so many rebounds on this team.
There is some variance and risk to it, for sure. But just the way that Phoenix shoots and they can get cold, and they're not a good rebounding team at all.
Yeah, and um, between Jones and Thomas, they're going to be the main ones on the glass here. We'll get some of Brianna kind of mixed in between off the
Mhm.
bench, but between the Thomas and Jones, honestly, we could see a double double from either or both of them tonight. But Jonquil, she really impressed me with how this last game looked, and I
Yeah.
love the minutes. She going back to last year was one of Connecticut's leading scorers and actually one of the league leading scorers, surprisingly. So there is a ton of ceiling upside up there, but we just need her to stay out of some foul trouble and stop turning it over. I believe not last game, but the game before that, she had 3 turnovers and then 2 turnovers, 3 turnovers, 3 turnovers. So a
Mhm.
little bit of
Yeah.
risk there.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, when she stays out of foul trouble, yeah, she's playing huge minutes. Majority of the first and large 3/4 of the second quarter. But if you go to a more recent, most recent, or more recent game, only 3 games ago, she had 4 fouls and she checked out early in the first quarter and did not play the entire second quarter because of that foul trouble.
Yep.
And
She's the triple J of WNBA.
yeah, and as a result, that game she finished the first half with minus -0.3 fantasy points.
Yes.
So
I had
it's high ceiling, but a very low floor for her first half. So I might stay away for now. I just it's risky. What about Brianna? Speaking of Brianna Jones, she's she's super productive coming off the bench. One of the more productive bench players. I feel like. Is there any particular prop that you like for her,
let's see.
or did you even consider her in your player pool?
I mean, honestly, I think she's live for most nights. You know, I I posted a card for everybody last night, and she was, one of the picks on there, and a couple of folks were upset and maybe not actually reading into the game script, and oh, she only had 2 points to close out the half,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah,
she shot 1 for 4, and then came back and shot 3 for 7, and then missed 2 more at the end there. So the opportunity was hands down there, and she even
yeah,
missed a free throw, which is very uncanny. She's
yeah,
a very high free throw percentage person. Um,
yeah. Just an
I,
off night.
yeah, it was a really weird night, and between Thompson and Bonner and John Quell shooting like 100% there to lead the first
Yeah,
half.
Bonner was like fadeaway threes, like not missing.
So yeah, man, I'll definitely a lot to break down from this team. I think fatigue could definitely be something to play in tonight.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I wonder. I have to go back and look at some data and see how they handle um, game stretches like this, consecutive games, and does it lead to more minutes for bench players or not?
Yeah, because we haven't seen that yet, but this is the real start to the WNBA schedule.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'd probably dive into that later before lock and once we start getting bench players for the Suns. You know, it trips me up that Connecticut are the Suns, and then they're playing Phoenix. I'm so used to just automatically Phoenix Suns, and just
Yep,
definitely confusing. But yeah, I mean, speaking of them, let's head over to their side. They last time we saw them play, we saw Tarasi get ejected from the game. She had a few choice words with the ref, and yeah, seemed really mad. Is this do we get an angry Tarasi today that comes out scorching hot, or do we get an old washed up Tarasi that we've been seeing for like the last few games?
I hope so. We definitely need Phoenix to do something here. They've been having some really lackluster games
Yeah.
and not being able to do anything in the first half specifically, which has led to a lot of games not even being close. So just going back and looking here real quick. She's definitely had some very down performances this year. A lot of turnovers. We've only had 5 games in double digit scoring. So there's just a lot of things, maybe she's legit tired. She's been in the league for
Mhm.
2004. We're going on 20 years here. Um, yeah, I mean, she definitely is a tried and true playmaker when she wants to be, but we've been
Mhm.
getting angry Tarasi lately, and she's just throwing the ball down the lanes. Doesn't care if it gets to her teammate. Doesn't care what happens, and maybe she didn't deserve to be ejected from last time, but she's she's not playing in her normal comfort zone, and that's something that I wanted to see her be the team leader, be that, athlete that your teammates are relying on, and not just somebody who's going out there getting kind of fired up and then like, oh, I don't know what happened.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, she started the season strong, and kind of filled that leadership role like you were seeking out. But I mean, this is some of the lowest props we've seen for her so far in this early season. I mean, her PRA is down to 16 and a half, and I mean, she was averaging for this little um road bump that she's on. I mean, 19.8 PRA. And then, yeah, I mean, her fantasies down to 19 and a half, and her assists are down to 3.5. Her assists were usually sitting around 4.5.
Yeah, and that's a direct correlation to her fantasy score going down.
Yeah. But it's PRA. It's intriguing. It's uh, it's something I'll have to sit on and think about. Do you think it's too risky?
Honestly, yeah. And my biggest point to back that up would be we've seen Diamond just playing some spectacular ball, like
Yeah.
really hungry out there, playing huge minutes. She might miss a ton of shots, but she's been a huge reason why some of these games have been close. A lot of the big three between Smith, Tarasi, and Charles. We get a hit or miss game from two of them, and Phoenix gets completely shut out for the night. If they don't have at least three of their starters on and popping, it's been a huge problem for them to keep a game close and play 4 quarters.
Oh, totally, totally. But I think being at home and catching the Suns on a back to back and playing all these games recently, it, it just feels like it could be a bounce back spot, get right spot for Phoenix, because they're playing um not like themselves at all, like we're accustomed to seeing. in the past season. So just I feel like it's setting up for that. But like you said, with Phoenix, it's just so risky with their shooting. But
I
yeah,
definitely,
Diamond, her
I,
point.
mhm.
Go ahead.
Say, I was gonna say I agree with you that we are due for a Phoenix get right. They've lost what almost 5 consecutive games now, um, and with Connecticut being on the back to back,
Yeah.
it's setting up. But I'm not gonna give y'all any kind of confidence behind that. You're getting the 2-7 Phoenix at home. Do with
Uh,
that what you will.
uh, I think it's desperate times for him right now. Um, because I know it's still early in the season, but you continue this poor streak, even for it's just a few more games, the season could get lost right away early on. So um,
Definitely. And there's a lot of 500 teams this year, so there's going to be a lot of shakedowns towards the end of that postseason stretch.
yep, yeah. I mean, I think you brought up a good point about Diamond being super ball dominant and eating up shot volume and efficient scoring. I mean, they have her points down to 12 and a half, and she's
She was
average.
up to almost 15.
Yeah, I don't know why it dropped. I think. Oh, it is because Petty. They think Petty, being back in rotation. So Petty did play last game, but that was her first game back, I believe, after missing out. How many minutes did she play? Let me click on Phoenix.
She played about 13 and a half.
So maybe that goes up. She was who was she subbing in for directly? She was subbing in for looks like. Oh, and Sophie was back from COVID too. She picked up her 26 minutes, and yeah, there's no clear rotation. Seems like she checked in at one time for Diamond, or
They
Diamond checked in for her,
they
but then they
also
played side
only
by
had
side.
they only had 8 players as well.
Yeah, and Tarasi got ejected. So it's good. It's kind of hard to go off of this rotation. I just don't see why they would cut. I know Sophie's back, and Petty, but I don't see why they would reduce Diamond's minutes because of how productive she's been. But maybe that's what PrizePicks is thinking, because I don't see why they would drop her points when she's been just crushing it scoring wise. So I think you could consider that. I think it makes sense, but just keep in mind that all those players being back, the rotation might get a little funky.
Yeah, most definitely. Because we did have Shape or Petty starting, and it seems like they might stick with what we currently have for the starters. But honestly, you never know with these coaches.
Yeah. Yeah. And with how bad they're playing and getting in desperate times, it will make you change things up and just throw anything at the wall, see what sticks, and try to make something happen.
And
So
Phoenix has a new coach as well, right?
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah, I want to say it's their first year, so it's going to be time to. We've seen line changes from some of these teams that are doing horrible to start the year, so I would not put it past them. This could be a team that maybe we need to wait on the starting lineup.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, so I'm not gonna put anything for targets for them right now, but I mean, I will say Diamond's points mid tier, based on starting lineup is. Make sure she's in the starting lineup still. And then Skylar, do we want any props for her? Man, they dropped her PRA big time.
Yeah, the biggest thing was she got 0 rebounds against Chicago, and I know a couple. I think earlier this week, I had really gone over Skylar and her assist rating, and that I
Mm-hmm.
believe at the time it was her prop was only at 3.5, but they were playing and I knew for sure that her assist rating was going to go back to more of what her last season looks like, and um, it's actually gone over that. So just kind of parts of this and that, it seems like this big old piece of pie that was built around Tarasi, all these players are just taking small portions of it here and there, and we're just kind of being left with a skeleton crew for where production's coming from.
Yeah, yeah.
Huge spike games from individual players, and then terrible outlier performances. One player in particular, Brianna Turner, man, she is like only gets rebounds and then nothing. Like you don't get anything else there.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So, man, definitely no confidence out of this team though. Maybe just a blanket over Diamond's points or fantasy, but
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
only because she's playing 30 plus minutes, and that I don't even feel that great about.
Yeah. I mean, only thing I was thinking was just like when a team has their back against the wall and they're in a corner, they got to come out aggressive and go all out and play hard. And you got a team that's on a back to back and could be tired. Just setting up, I think, for a potential big bounce back spot, but risky, definitely risky for prop betting. Okay, I think, and I guess before we move on, anything on Tina? I guess you already said you don't feel warm and fuzzy about any of these Phoenix players, but she um she's been productive at times, but it's not the easiest matchup. But yeah, Jones could rack up some fouls against her. Do we wonder what? Let's look out for. I think her free throw prop could be interesting. She's averaging 2.6 made on the season. And like I said, yeah, Jones will get foul happy at times. So if you want a lower line for her, I could think about that. But yeah, they have her fantasy and her PRA like pretty much spot on with her average season production. What do you think about her?
That was Charles,
Yeah,
Tina. Yeah, she's just one of those spike veteran players. Can always go out there and score 20 real points at any given time.
yeah,
Versus this matchup, I know that we don't like the rebounding option quite as much. So honestly, I'd be on the lookout for free throws. Fingers crossed under 3, but maybe
yeah,
her real points, and that's about
yeah,
it.
yeah. Two and a half free throws made would be very tempting. All right, cool. Let's move on to we're on the last game now, and we got about 30 minutes. So,
Yeah, we're gonna scoot through this one.
before we do that, let's just quickly see if there's any key things on from chat on this game. Got a lot from the bot.
Yeah. All right. Oh my goodness, I didn't even see all that.
Sorry, chat. It's hard to get through all this.
Let's see. AO asked if it's going to be on ESPN tonight again.
To what?
That's all he asked.
I assume he's talking about the game that we just went over.
Yeah, I think it's for the Connecticut Phoenix game.
I think one of them's on Twitter. I saw. Emerson said Diamond's playing great. She gets it rolling. Yeah, seems like we're all kind of starting to warm up to her a little bit. Okay. Let's get to the last game here. We got Dallas at Seattle. Pretty nice implied total 163. Seattle being 7-point favorites. And Seattle is getting more healthy and full strength here. So, like you mentioned before the stream, when the stream started, that Mercedes Russell is making her season return debut. And then Talbot is back in the mix. She has missed some games as of late, and yeah, she's expected to play. So this could mess up the rotation a little bit. This is kind of what I was thinking for the projected starting lineup. Um, with January filling in for who who remains out for
For Seattle.
yeah, someone still is out with COVID, I believe.
Yeah, I know Bird's out.
Bird, yeah, that's it. Yeah, so January is filling in her place, and then yeah,
Yeah, we get Bird and Magbetter's going to still be out today.
yeah, but then Talbot's back, and then Mercedes is making her season
Hmm.
debut.
Yeah. So we'll have a
So
big front court.
yeah, it's gonna make it a little bit tricky. I assume it's gonna move Lavender back to the bench. Because Lavender was starting, I believe, in place of those two missing front court pieces.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on who the fifth starter might be, but fairly confident for Stewart, Lloyd, Russell, and then whichever center they decide to go with.
Yeah. Yeah, we might want to wait on the starting line on see how it shakes out, but we can always go to Jewel and Brianna here. Just two of the most probably prolific natural scorers in the league, in my opinion. Jewel's right now my favorite WNBA player. I mean, if you just watch how aggressive she is and how she creates her own shot, I think she's probably one of the best for her size at creating her own shot and getting there. Brianna can obviously do it because not only is she talented and has good footwork for a big, but I mean, just she can really take advantage of her size and create shots. But just as a natural shot creator, I feel like Jewel is the best in the league. And and yeah, it's showing with her scoring. I mean, she's crushing it. And when she misses, she doesn't stop. I mean, she doesn't lose confidence. A lot of times she'll start off real slow. It's a slow burn, so you're like, oh man, she's not gonna get there with their scoring, and then second half comes around and she just pops off. Because yeah, shooters are gonna shoot, and Jewel reminds me a lot of like those typical ball dominant shot creator in the NBA, kind of like a James Harden, and create
Oh,
their own shot. Um,
definitely.
so I really like her. With that said, we do have blowout potential here with how bad Dallas has been playing and Seattle being at home and getting full strength. Might consider first half props, but I definitely want exposure to Brianna and Jewel here. Just we've seen Dallas as of late just play really bad on defense. And yeah, very exploitable. And yeah, we have two, like I said, two of the top scorers in the league going against them. Um, I'm probably just gonna lean Jules points. But I mean, she also has stock potential. But I mean, they adjusted her fantasy now pretty appropriately. But her points are still pretty low in my opinion. And yeah, I'd probably consider Brianna's probably fantasy. Because I mean, she's crushing it. I mean, I would argue that she's right now the MVP front runner. Based on the current season stats. I mean, she's leading the league in stocks, and I believe she's leading the league in average point total too. So yeah, maybe we can look into her first half rotations and first half fantasy if we're concerned about that. And then yeah, do you have any other leans on other Seattle players or props for Jewel or Brianna?
Yeah, definitely right there with you. As far as Jewel, just going back to last year, 2021, the three meetings that she had versus Dallas, she dropped a smooth 25 real points in all three meetings. So, and some of the games were fairly close. One of them was a bit of a blowout, but she's had some stellar performances against this team. And at home, we've seen that, especially with this last go around when they were shorthanded. Seattle's been really strong at home. They're going to be one of our late night hammers tonight. Not sure if we get full 4 quarters of action here, but I do like between Lloyd and Stewart. Stewart, I would say probably her fantasy scorer, just does it all category. And Lloyd for the raw points. She's going to be leading the team. And especially whenever Stewart checks out, she's going to be the ball dominant handler on the team and on the court.
For sure. Right there with you. Maybe we can cut Stewart's fantasy points in half in first half. What do you think?
Yeah, I was actually chopping those down right before we got live or before we went live because they took
Okay.
forever to drop these.
Yep.
Let's see. Probably her fantasy score, to be honest.
That's
They
what I'm
got a
thinking.
man, that's a high bar though. 19 and a half.
I mean, she's crushing it, man.
Now, just looking at the board here though, if we get Mercedes starting, I don't think that PrizePicks is going to adjust anything, and that 9.5 fantasy is a free square today.
Oh wait, they dropped props for her already?
Yeah. Honestly, this just might even be a free square in general if she plays roughly 20 minutes.
Okay. I like that. I mean, the only concern is she comes out rusty or not, and how she looks, because yeah, she hasn't played since last season. But
Well, just looking at some of the reporting from her coming back,
Mhm.
she had I believe, a non-contact injury. Trying to bring that back up real fast. She had some type of let's see. Yeah, it was undisclosed. But she wasn't expected to return for another week or something. But apparently, with her training and rehab of whatever was going on, she's way ahead of schedule, and they're looking for her to actually get some run here.
I like it. I just wonder. Yeah, I guess when players are first coming back in conditioning and they're doing a minutes limit. It just depends on the coach, but sometimes some coaches will just spread it out equally across quarters and do like a 4 minute, 3 to 4 minute stint each quarter. Or some coaches might just let them play normal minutes in the first few quarters and not play as much near the end because they're going to get worn out from not being in game shape. So something to think about, but if you're considering your first half, but it's a low line. I'm with you on that. I like targeting these props that PrizePicks hasn't adjusted for because without having the season data for. So yeah, I'll mark that. And then I guess were there any others that we wanted to go with? I think all these other secondary players take a hit with Mercedes and Talbot being back.
Yeah, and we could definitely see this game go sideways. Dallas is a very foul happy team. We know Satu. How do you say? Is it Satu?
Yep, Satu.
She's been racking up a ton of fouls here. And unfortunately for Dallas, they've let honestly the first quarter get away from them, and that's just resulted to some horrible game flow. We could get something better, but I wouldn't count on it.
I completely forgot. Yeah. The Dallas, we've been attacking them in the paint as of late, and because they're just getting destroyed in the paint. And actually now the stats are starting to catch up. They are first in most points allowed in the paint. So yeah, I mean that goes right there with Mercedes props and Brianna's props when she gets to the high post, and we'll work that mid to post game. So makes me like them even more in this matchup. And yeah, I think this could be core plays based on that. So I'm glad you brought that up about the foul propensity for Dallas.
Did we get January props or no?
I wonder if they're gonna hold off because they don't know what the starting lineup's gonna be.
That's true. Yeah, we could get last minute props again for that. And she looked pretty impressive last outing.
Yeah, she's been filling in for Sue pretty good. Definitely. Okay, so Dallas finished it off with the slate. I think I can't figure out the rotation and who's going to be the starting lineup. It seems like it's matchup based. Kayla went to the bench last game, and I think that was because they wanted to throw a bigger body out there on Liz. So what McCown got to start. I assume that Kayla returns to the starting lineup here. But I'm not 100% certain. But if she does, then that means Harrison will be the primary bench piece that might drop from PrizePicks. Yeah, I mean Thornton burned a lot of us with that late lineup change when we went for her fantasy point props, but
Yeah.
I think it's a somewhat favorable matchup for her because Seattle has shown that they can be prone to giving up points in the paint. They're third in most points allowed. Although it's changing up now with Mercedes being in the mix. See how that shapes out, but I think we're just gonna have to wait on the starting lineup for the front court of Dallas because it just seems like it's a revolving door with them in the front court, and we won't get that till way after all the other games have started. So I guess the ones you can focus on would be Enrique and Alicia Gray. Do you like any of their props, or do you want to just stick with Seattle?
Small fringe play for Alicia. If we can get her 3 points made at 1.5 or anything under 2, I would like that. But they've been keeping it right around 2, kind of going back and forth between that. Enrique, she can always get hot. Just a real streaky shooter. This
Yeah.
team is night and day on the road and home split. So you kind of get what you get with this team. Like like you had mentioned earlier, they've been a ton of fouls, giving up a lot of points in the paint,
Yeah.
and it really just doesn't seem like they have figured out what they want their starters to be, and a lot of that is affecting their entirety of the game flow. Like their rotations are out of whack.
Yeah.
We have Thornton comes in, plays a minute, sits down, and we're all just like, what happened?
Makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah. So super frustrating things, and then having the fouls thrown in the mix has just muddied up the water even more. Not really much confidence here. I feel like tonight's just the night of the home games. A lot of these home teams are gonna do their business and get it done for the home crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe get on Phoenix. No, yeah, I agree on that. Yeah, and it's probably why we got a lot of high spreads too.
Now, for I guess an honorable mention, they gave us Dallas 2 points made or field goals made in the first 6 minutes. It
Oh
was
wait, they're
at
dropping those props right now?
or no, just from last time. We had it
Oh.
at 2.5. I think if we can get an even 3 or under, it might be in play. But that's going to be just about it for me, honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not feeling confident on anything else with them. Yeah, okay. So we can do our team card before we check out here in 10 minutes. And take any last minute questions, any like crucial questions that you guys were wanting to ask, or something that you wanted to figure out that we might be able to help you with. And I'm just taking a look at chat right now to see if there's any questions. Gun said, "I'm tired of Tinder. Any suggestions? Just swipe right, bro." All right. Yeah, it's your team card, man. It's always, I feel like, the best part of the show and the most fun. I like doing this. So I will build it right here. I'll just make an actual card for us. And I think you went first last time, so I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot today, obviously, with this slate. I am going to go. I'm gonna stick with my initial lean and gut calls on Clouds 8.5 PRA first half.
Good call. Okay.
And just keep in mind, chat, like we're working with what we have here, and there's a lot on the board that we don't have access to. So while this is it's going to be our favorite current plays, it's not the absolute lock because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of props to drop afterwards before lock that we're going to get on later in the day. And I'm on full game. I'm gonna stick. I stick with my favorite player in Lloyd. I'm just the only drawback I have is the blowout potential.
I mean, it's definitely possible.
But I mean, her points are gonna contribute to that blowout.
How many shots did she attempt last game? Do you know?
A ton.
That was some crazy number. 15. Yeah, I mean, over at least the last two games, maybe just that soft matchup, but she lit New York up for some field goal attempts.
Yeah, and she stayed in because it was a blowout. She stayed in while all the other starters like Brianna and Stewart and all them checked out and didn't even touch the court in the fourth quarter. Jules still played half of the fourth quarter in the blowout.
Yeah, I
So,
saw that.
but now with them getting more healthy, because Seattle's been really short-staffed with players with COVID and injuries, so maybe that would change. All right, I'm just gonna go. Sorry, I want to think this through because I want this to hit for the crew. Man, I'm gonna say either Stewart or Donnie's first half fantasy.
Yeah, I definitely like Donnie. Either that, or if you want one of the two from Atlanta for their first half props. Or we could go Washington points scored in 6 minutes.
Oh yeah, we can. Yeah, well, we can't add that here. I can make it in the spreadsheet though. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna do Donnie. I know it's stacking same players or the same players on the same team in the first half, but I just think they crush it. if you're worried about that, then I think you can swap out Donnie for Brianna here, unless you're gonna go with Brianna as one of your plays.
No, I think I'm gonna go with Erica Wheeler in that first half fantasy score.
Okay, it's a
The
first
old,
half kind of day.
yeah, old trusty. And it's just a quick news for you guys. I think they dropped most of the rest of their props that we're gonna get for the starters. We got McCowan and a couple other ones that got dropped. So we'll chop any of the new stuff from here on out in the Discord. And then my next, I guess our last favorite play, gotta go with. I'm gonna give Phoenix the benefit of the doubt tonight, and we're gonna go with Diamonds, just raw points at 11.5.
I liked it. I think we talked ourselves onto that and onto Phoenix in general. I
I, I
hope it was
I
the
feel
right
safe.
process.
Yeah, I feel like it's a safe play, and she'll at least get the blowout run if anything goes
But you said
sideways.
12.5 now. Did it open at 11.5?
It was.
Oh, people must have been hitting the over right away, or they just stack corrected it.
Oh no, sorry, my mistake. I had her first half fantasy
Oh wait,
scores at
Skylar's at
11.
11.5.
Yeah, okay. I had those backwards.
So sorry, you wanted the first half for her?
No, we'll still go with the full points. I think that Diamond plays enough minutes to get that 12.5.
Okay. And then as a fifth flex, going to add, this will be a group decision. I'm going to add either Jewel or Stewart.
Mercedes. Okay.
Yeah. Which one do you want? Do you want Stewart's first half fantasy? Or do you want to stick with your gut call, Mercedes? The
Yeah,
nine
let's
and a
go
half.
with Mercedes. Yeah, I
Okay.
like that.
All right. Just so the card, if you want, you can rotate this in. You don't have to do a 5 flex. You want to rotate it in for any one of these so you don't feel good about. And it gives you late night hammer exposure. So that is our team card right here. We got Natasha, the Dawn, and then Wheelers. All these are first half except for Diamonds, real points. Just a lot of blowout potential today. So that's big reason why we're going first half. Yeah, but we got like a minute or so before we have to check out because Gunn is gonna be starting his live MLB stream in a couple minutes. So check that out for sure if you gonna do some baseball. And yeah, if you're not part of the or the free Discord, come join us. Always active and working together. If you're new here, it's a lot of fun and we sweat all these together and break things down together. So definitely join that. It should be in the link in the description below. And yeah, we'll figure out something for Sunday. I think it all hinges on whether we get props for the Sunday slate on Saturday evening or so, and maybe we
For
can
sure.
cook up some type of content for that because Sundays are just hard all around for the crew. Gun, all of us usually take the full day off, so we'll keep that to be determined. But it's a massive slate. And it starts really early. I think it starts like 10 or 11 my time, so Pacific time. So yeah, it's like I think a 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern start time. But yeah, 6 games. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good weekend, man. So it's been a fun Friday breakdown with Eric. And do you have anything else you wanted to add or close out with?
No, just keep an eye out. We'll be chopping it up all day and get you guys as up to date and informed as we can. But good luck out there today.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll try to hop on the voice chat an hour before lock too, in case we want to chop things up together, or if you guys have any last minute questions, try to address. And yeah, I'm feeling good about this slate. First half's for the win. Let's get it.
Absolutely. Free link for the Discord down below. Make sure you guys hop in there and say hey.
All right, guys. Sounds good, man. I'll catch you later, Eric. See you,
All right,
crew.
y'all have a good one. Peace.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.